Claus Carlsen, welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Yeah. For those who don't know, you were one of the real early guests when this podcast was just getting bootstrapped and everything looked and sounded like shit. And so I appreciate you coming back as things have evolved.
No, I thank you for having me, and it's always anyway. I enjoy talking to you, and I enjoy watching a podcast. And anyway, we have almost daily encounters on X as well. So at least we see each other on X.
Yeah. Yeah, man, and I have gotten a lot more of your content, or I've absorbed more of your content than you even know, right? I think you were, one of the very first people, because I only started my account, preparing for the last World Carnivore Month. December 27th is when I created my X account, and you're one of the first people. It's always the same group, the Carrie Kelly. I've got that whole list of people that I sort of followed initially, exactly. and you've been a big help to me, man. Like really, when I got started out, and for those who don't know, started my health journey a little over a year ago with World Carnivore Month, and I've dropped like 72 pounds roughly where I'm at right now. And so it's been a big change to my life. And I think it's apropos that you're coming back in the middle of World Carnivore Month, number 2 for me. So excited to have you. I want to sort of go into your history and have you talk through how carnivore has helped you, because I've got the infographic up, and this is a really cool infographic. And so you were type 2 diabetic, correct?
Yes. Yeah, type 2 diabetic, high blood pressure, feeling like crap, drinking too much wine in my case, and not really eating that unhealthy. At least I didn't think so. But I'd say the maybe typical stressed out executive over a few decades, and then I kind of I had many mornings looking in the mirror, kind of saying to myself, Klaus, you don't look healthy, and your credibility is probably going to suffer at some point. How can you lead other people? How can you be a credible person to the employees, to your children, to other people, if you're unhealthy, and if you look like you're unhealthy, and that kind of I probably did that for 2 years, and then finally I started with leaving out alcohol for a month. It didn't really do anything other than no hangovers and no headaches, which was nice, but no weight loss. And then I'd already been looking at dietary changes. I did 6 months of Atkins back in 2006, so I kind of knew that at least cutting the carbs would do something. So ventured into that, and then in November 2019, and then I pretty quickly, within a few weeks, I got off my blood pressure medication, my diabetes, my metformin, basically. So, and I lost, in the first 3 months, I lost 29% of my body weight. I say the percent because it sounds more impressive than the 55 pounds, because I'm not really a big guy. So I'm not short, but I'm kind of I'm a bit of a stick. So
well, man, 55 pounds in anybody's books is a hefty amount. Like, you try just carrying around 55 pounds for a while, like just pick it up and see how long you can walk around with it before you get tired. Like it's a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting. I go to the gym a lot, so I do my my deadlifts with a couple of 100 pounds, and I carry around various weights. And 55 pounds. It seems like a lot now, that's for sure. Well, I was just thinking about you're 70, and some people have lost 100, 150 pounds. It's just amazing when you kind of dial in where you need to be, and I think that's kind of one of the challenges in life. Not to get too philosophical about it, but I think stuff that we may be able to do at a certain point, maybe at a certain other point we're not able to do it. Possibly because it has affected us negatively, or maybe just because our metabolism changes when we get older. Who knows? Who cares? Anyway, carnivore or low carb, and I think what I would say is it doesn't have to be carnivore. it's just, for somebody like me, I kind of like and need very clear cut solutions. And I like to make decisions, and I like it to be pretty clear. I'm not a very political type of person, so carnivore. I like carnivore because it's very simple, and it keeps you very effectively away from temptations, which I thought I didn't really have. I thought my temptation was alcohol, which turned out to be super easy to stop. Much more difficult was getting, staying away from carbs. Not initially, of course. When you have the beginner's enthusiasm, dive into it. You can do anything, and you feel you can do anything, and it works for some months, and then the day-to-day routine kind of hits, and some of the old cravings come back, and then it's just easier if you don't have any what I would call entry drugs for those of us who are a little bit addiction prone. It's probably easier to do carnivore as low carb rather than to do the kind of the diet doctor. I'm referring to the website Diet Doctor, which is fabulous. Lots of nice recipes for ketogenic stuff and things, where you can kind of replicate high carb foods with low carb foods. The problem is just that then you're sitting there every day eating your tiramisu and whatever, and then you're kind of close to the tiramisu maybe you can buy in the grocery store. So.
Yeah, man, like I resonate with so much of what you just said. I think you and I are a lot alike that way, because I'm a tech exec, and I'm in a super, super, super stressful job, and I've always had a difficulty with impulse control. I had a really rough childhood, and I know some of the reasons why I use, it was never substances for me. It wasn't alcohol, wasn't drugs, but food for me was a soothing thing. Like it was a way to self-soothe.
Yes.
And it is very easy to fall into. And I think I masked it for a lot of years because I grew up being a runner. I was a distance runner my whole life, and so running marathons, like no problem. Like it kind of kept it sort of, that thing was there, but it was masked by the fact that I just burned a shit ton of calories. Right. And when I hurt my knee, I'm not sure if you know this, but I had a really bad knee injury in 2019. And that was the last marathon that I ever ran. And, it just, at that point, that's when the weight really started. There was no, I was just doing nothing but work.
Yes.
And on top of that, it wasn't just work, but in my job, you probably know, like I travel the world. And so I'm constantly, like you, I know you do that as well. You're constantly flipping your body clock. You have jet lag, and it's not a lot of great food. Well, I mean, it's not a lot of great food choices. There are, but like, when you go to Tokyo, I know you've been there. It's like one of the best food cities in the world, or Rome with pasta and pizza. Like it's very easy to just be like, man, I'm gonna eat all the things, and it's hard to talk yourself out of doing that. It's like, well, when the hell am I gonna be? I might not travel here again ever. Like it's a difficult thing to manage, and it's so easy to slip into bad habits and really unhealthy ways of being.
Yeah, I mean, you need. I think kind of you almost need to redefine your identity a little bit. I don't want to, make it. It's not a religious thing, but it's just. I think when you're in the lot of traveling stuff, you spend a lot of time in lounges with whatever there is. Always nice restaurants. You go out every night. If you don't have a firm plan or a firm take on, I'm not a person who does this and that, or I'm the one who only does this. If you don't have that, well, why would you, how can you say no? It's and why would you say no? And then, of course, you've got kind of, I think you have at least I had kind of the added, I'd say kind of a little bit of a, what the hell kind of attitude that, I've worked a lot. I'm totally stressed out. Okay, I'm going to have a nice glass of wine. I'm going to have, let's have some of the nice food. And like you say, kind of a soothing thing. And food is just phenomenal entertainment and phenomenal soothing potential in it. So Yeah, easy to get taken over by that if you don't have a clear plan and a clear concept for yourself.
Yeah,
That's
that's really what helped me with carnivore last January. Is like you said, it's like this gating mechanism, like a fucking wall that is
yeah,
around your life. Like you go to the store, and you buy like four things, right?
yeah,
And you got what? I've got this type. I got ground beef. I've got hanger steak. I've got a ribeye. I've got like. There's only so many options when you want to eat and you're at home. And I think the other component is that the satiety aspect of this for me is huge because you don't have this and once you get down the road sufficiently, right, you get fat adapted and you're fully down that road. I would get, and I noticed this was interesting as a sort of like somebody who practices mindfulness meditation too. I became aware in my consciousness of some program that would kick off in my brain that'd be like, oh, you need to eat, you should have something to eat.
yes,
And then my physiology would recoil and be like, oh, it would almost like made me nauseous, like yo, I'm full, I'm good. But I kept seeing that program keep firing back up in the background.
Huge.
And it's kind of gone now, like that thing doesn't exist, like but I definitely noticed that was a really good wall to erect between me and my bad behaviors. Just the fact that I'm fully completely satiated with really really nutrient dense food, including the fats, which everyone is terrified of for some reason. That's really what's kept me on track.
Yeah, I think satiation is a huge point for most people. I'd say, reflecting on that, in my case, I have no problem eating endless amounts of food, even though I'm totally stuffed. I mean, I'm going to feel not good, but I can keep most times I can keep eating. So I think I used from the beginning I used time restricted eating. So I started with a 16-8, so eating 2 meals within 8 hours, and then nothing for 16, and then the window kind of got smaller. And now this week I'm doing with my friend James at NX Frontier. We're doing egg week this week, so I can only do 1 meal a day. And I feel I had my meal. I had my meal an hour and a half ago, and yeah, I'm not feeling too great.
I was going to ask you, actually, I had it on my list to talk to you about is egg week, man, because I know you're in the middle of that. So how's that going, man? I know some people do that. It's like BBBE, and then they start removing things. So like it's fun to see all the permutations throughout Carnivore Month. But tell me about egg week, man.
Yeah,
how's that going?
I'm not necessarily recommending it, but I think that the reason we're doing it is just because no specific reason. So we did an egg week last year with James. And we, by day 3, I think we were just laughing because we were towards the end of the meal. Both of us were gagging with the eggs, and we love eggs, but my limit is about 10, 11, 12 jumbo-sized eggs, and that's kind of I can force down more, but it's just horrible, and that's about 1,000 with butter, 1,200 calories maybe, which and I know all the calories, anti-calories in, calories out. People just relax. I'm not a Seco person, but it's the reference metric that we have. So
sure.
So let's just use it anyway. 1,200 calories, and just impossible to eat more in 24 hours. So I think for someone who wants to maybe has plateaued, wants to restart their fat loss, I suspect doing an egg week or doing a fortnight of eating eggs only is going to be pretty effective. For me, even though I'm pretty lean, I'm probably about maybe 13% body fat, so not super lean, but lean enough. I'm going to lose. This week I'm going to lose 2-3 pounds, even though I'm eating every day. So without any fasting and at least I can eat something. So
yeah, fair enough. I was going to say, like, I was doing the math real quick, and it looks like you'd have a very difficult time hitting your macros, your protein intake requirements with 12 eggs. Because what are they, like 6 grams of protein per?
Yeah, about 8.2 grams for the kind of eggs I eat. So Yeah, I'm at the very lower end of my daily protein, but I don't think subjectively, because I didn't get an MRI or a DEXA scan before and after, but subjectively it's pretty much fat loss, not muscle loss, no strength loss, nothing. And
Yeah, because you're lifting as well at the same time, so
yeah,
that's
of course,
that's certainly protective of lean muscle tissue. That's one thing I noticed. You know, that I did that 15-day fast,
Yes.
and you know, I didn't really lose any muscle. I don't think.
Yeah,
Like I
exactly.
actually, and actually this time around, I didn't lose that. Well, okay, I think I either gained muscle or I didn't lose that much weight. It's like 8 pounds for the entire time, which was wild for me because normally when I fast, I just drop a ton of weight. And this time I was like, I did creatine. So I went from a state where I hadn't been supplementing with
Yes.
creatine. I did 20 grams a day. So I like upped my creatine through the roof and did resistance training that entire time. And I didn't really lose a whole bunch of weight. And I think that's a good thing because I suspect in the past I did lose a bit of lean muscle tissue throughout those.
Yeah, I think. Anyway, kudos to you for the fast. Very very impressive. I think the if you upping your creatine in that period, probably it sounds to me like that could be the main reason why you didn't lose that much, because it does
Hydrate.
it does hydrate your, especially your muscle mass. So it increases your muscle mass with partly with water. So it ties down fluids, which is not a bad thing. It has obviously multiple other positive effects as well. I do 20 grams of creatine per day as well, by the way. But I've done it for a long time. So I'm trying to work against the cognitive decline with that as well. So
Yeah, boy, the science around that is really compelling. Like I've been taking it, historically for athletic reasons.
Yes.
And wow, the science around how it's neuroprotective really seems to be compelling. I think everybody should be taking creatine, and it's just dirt cheap.
Yes, yeah, I agree, and I think for those listening, if you want to look into some of the science. I found that on examine.com they've got, and I'm not affiliated with them at all, but examine.com has go on the website and write creatine, and it comes up with, I don't know, loads and loads of research on creatine, on the both dosage and everything. So for those who want to dive into that a little bit deeper, but. For sure, some benefits there. How do you? I wanted to ask you about your fast, because I was asking you how you felt, and you said towards the end you didn't feel so good. What was going
on? It's weird. I think a lot of it has to do with electrolyte management, and historically I would get these symptoms much sooner.
Yes.
It would be day 7 or 8, and things would get weird. Like you'd get a bunch of, like, it's one of those things, you like be laying in bed and you get up and you get like abdominal cramping and like really bad cramps. And I started addressing that by supplementing proactively with electrolytes. But it seems eventually something gets out of balance. And I don't know if it was just me lifting more this time around, but it definitely, even though I was supplementing with electrolytes, I'm not sure if it wasn't enough or if it wasn't the right type, like if it wasn't the right balance, but something got weird. And then I start getting dizzy and I start feeling kind of woozy. And that was the biggest part of it. It just kind of sense of malaise, which is the antithesis of what fasting typically does for me. Sure. Usually for me, about at day 3 or 4, it's like insane mental clarity. You feel great, like tons of it, all, it's like a positive thing. And once you're past that mental hurdle of, okay, I'm not eating anymore, you just get on autopilot. Then you just feel great. The only other symptom I noticed is every fast, I get obsessed with watching YouTube videos about food. I will, there's Mark Wiens and like all these travel videos, because for some reason your brain just gets hyper fixated. And I think that's one of the theories about fasting, is that like why you get so clear headed is because it's an evolutionary mechanism. Like, okay, there's no food here, you better figure some shit out. And so I think your brain goes into this sort of hyper focus on food, and I'm aware of it now, and I kind of laugh at it. I'm like, okay, fine, well, I'm going to be watching some YouTube videos on some tasty food, and that's the only thing that really happens. I get that sort of behavior pops up, and then I get at certain points I don't know, it's in my heart too. I guess the other thing too is I feel weird in my heart. I can't explain it. Like it's not like an arrhythmia. I have a Fitbit, and I'm, I don't have any like, irregular heartbeat, but it just feels not right, a little bit off. And so towards the end, I really found myself kind of gritting it out, and that surprised me because for me, a 15-day is not like super long. Longest I've done is almost double that, which is 28. But this one, yeah, I struggled in the last couple of days. I felt great, and then I hit the wall, and it was like the last couple. Ooh. But besides my existential crisis with the rib roast, that was something I had to push through, man. I'm surprised that I made it because I really, at that point, was like, really, am I going to freeze this roast? This is like a whole side of beef ribeye. I couldn't. That was one of the beautiful things about social media is that like everybody's watching, right? You put it out there, and it's a difficult thing to be like, oh, I'm thinking about quitting, and if there's something in me is just like, nah, I can't quit. I got I got too much pride. And we're back. Sorry about that. Had a couple of technical difficulties. So, as we were saying, fasting.
Yeah, I was just thinking about my own fasting. I've the longest I've done was 5 days. So not 15. And I think for me, the kind of thing that limits me effectively is that I just sleep just goes out the window on day pretty much. If I do more than 48 hours, 72, I'm not sleeping the last night very much, and I'm not feeling tired. So it's more of a psychological thing. But I think for now, 15-day fasts are not on for me. So yeah, very impressive.
And that's fair because I don't think you need to do super long fasts. Like for me, there's an element of beating back that demon a little bit. Just making sure like no, I've got control. Like I'm running the show here. Exactly. There's some aspect of exerting control over your own body. I think is it's a good useful thing. It's a good muscle to flex, a mental muscle. Yeah. Because I think we all know like it's over 72 hours. Like most of the benefits you're going to get from a fast are there. And also you don't have to deal with, I think even at 5 days, you don't really have to deal with concerns like refeeding syndrome. You have to be like super careful about when you start consuming food again. You obviously don't want to gorge yourself right away, but it's not like after a very long-term fast, I'm not sure people know, but your entire digestive system completely shuts down. You have to reactivate things. Typically I do bone broth for like at least 2 or 3 days just to get stuff going again. So I don't think you have to deal with that on those shorter term fasts.
No, and especially if you're keto, carnivore, low carb of some kind, there isn't really you don't really need to be concerned about refeeding syndrome. At least not with let's say up to a week, maybe 2 weeks. And I think maybe not at all. At least, let's say the literature that I've seen says that it's related to if you have let's call it a normal diet, which is maybe 50%, 60% carbohydrates. That's when you can get into some serious life-threatening actually situations if you gorge immediately when you stop the fast. But I think, I don't know. At least when I did my 5 days, I didn't really I didn't really feel like approaching it with gorging. I kind of felt a little bit timid starting to eat. So I started with bone broth and then a few eggs, and then the next day a little bit more. So yeah, a slow reintroduction.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. It's mostly a refeeding syndrome is typically around carbohydrate-rich diets, and but also like I literally like your digestive system, the whole thing just sort of screeches to a halt, and so I think just kicking it off too fast, it's uncomfortable. I've done some borderline ones like 7 days, and things started to get weird, and it's like, oh, this actually is really uncomfortable. I don't want to do this, so I'm always super careful about how I sort of reintroduce food again.
Yeah, I think there is absolutely no downside to taking it slow and doing a controlled refeeding. Absolutely, I just think that, let's say, if you happen to be consuming a normal amount of carbohydrates, then it's particularly important that you don't consume a lot of foods when you go off your fast. But yeah. Other than that, but I think I like about flexing the muscle. I think our egg week is a little bit about that as well. So it's not, I don't think James and I necessarily need physiologically need an egg week, but mentally we need one.
Got it. That totally makes sense.
And,
So I wanted to talk about this a little bit, man. Like, so you've been working with James and Goody on some stuff. You got the low carb logic thing that's kicked off, and
Yes.
you have that hero community. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's we're kind of inspired, inspired by the "Make America Healthy Again" type of let's call it slogan. I maybe wouldn't call it a movement, but let's slogan or movement. And James and I, obviously, we are not in the U.S. Goody is in the U.S., but James and I, we have to look from the sidelines and hope that some of the stuff gets implemented elsewhere. And talking about that, we kind of thought that, okay, let's, as a long-term project, let's start something where we are working on trying to help people find a healthier way to live. Not necessarily carnivore, not necessarily low carb or keto, but also those, of course, because that's what we do, and we've had very good health success with that. But bearing in mind that people have different physiologies and preferences and stuff, at least our understanding is that it's perfectly viable to have a healthy lifestyle, even if you're not a low carb person. Even though we are low carb logic, but so kind of embrace that type of approach and try and make it, if not global, at least introduce it to the countries that we kind of represent, which is UK and the rest of Europe.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I think you probably have a healthy dose of skepticism around the Maha movement, as I do. So tell me your thoughts on that, man, because there seems to be, in America at least, this sort of irrational exuberance that RFK Jr. is going to come in and government's going to swoop in and save us from ourselves. And I take a different approach. I want to get your take, being somebody who's outside of the American sphere.
Yes, I think, first of all, I agree. I agree with you 100%. And this the exuberance, I think it's one of the that kind of attitude and let's say hope. This is one of the things which makes America very, very attractive for those of us who are not living there. Because there's kind of a with all due respect and from the most positive way I of my feelings, I think a kind of a maybe a little bit naive, exuberant. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to we're going to solve all our problems. The world is going to be healed. Everything is going to be good. This is something which can free up a lot of positive energy, a lot of resources to get some things done, even if it turns out not to be true, to put it like that. And I do think that if I take on my boring European hat, what are we up against? We're up against a system, an entrenched system, which has been built over decades, centuries, actually. But the current state of affairs has been successfully built and strengthened over many decades. So we're not just gonna. It's going to be difficult to dismantle it and change everything, and maybe that's not necessary either.
I don't think it is, man. I think, and you've seen my posts on this. I'm like, dude, you don't need to wait for the government. You can do this tomorrow. You can start tomorrow on your own. It's not that difficult. Yeah. Go do it. And I think this is what troubles me about the Maha movement is that it's really at its core hyper authoritarian. It's like RFK is the savior, and he's going to go and ban seed oils, and he's going to ban red 40, and he's going to like these government bans on these things which are clearly harmful to people's health. I mean, seed oil is an open topic. I want to talk to you about that because I know you have opinions on that. But at least things like artificial colors and dyes and like these additives and preserve, like, yeah, this shit is terrible for you.
Yes.
But banning that stuff is not going to fix your health. I think we all know, unless you make a
Yeah.
conscious effort, you have some sort of foundational nutritional understanding, and you've
Yes.
altered your diet to a primarily whole foods, nutrient
Yes.
rich type
Yes.
of a food source, as opposed to this processed bullshit. Like, you're not going to get
Yes.
healthy. I don't care
You're,
who bans what. Like, it's not fixing the fundamental problem.
yeah, and you have to take responsibility yourself. And by the way, I think the kind of the what I see as the American attitude, especially the American kind of the let's say center, the normal American attitude, and maybe also some of the right, maybe not the far left, but most of America, the attitude is to take responsibility, to build your own life and your own luck and happiness and everything. And into that, I would say it fits very well to say that, okay, you are responsible for your health. And I think for me, what I see as the key, kind of the key importance of the Maha movement and all of these discussions and the things that need to be changed in Europe as well, and many other countries as well, is that we need to get into a situation where we are not mandated to do things which are unhealthy. And I think to me, that's the important part of it. Banning this and that and whatever, it's like it's like laughing at vegans and then behaving like a vegan. What the hell? There's a saying in Finland that you go from one ditch to the other ditch. We don't want to go from one ditch to the other ditch. We want to stay on the road and do good things. Also, I think there is if you look at let's say, for instance, one of my favorite topics, these dietary guidelines. I think if you look at the organizations which are and the systems and processes which are in place to make such a thing happen, I don't necessarily think there's a need to dismantle that. I think why don't we let's try and use what we have, but let's use it in an honest way. And I do agree as a restructuring person. That's my profession. Tearing down organization, rebuilding at least parts. I think there is a point that sometimes you can't make the change without dismantling, even dismantling good things. But it's not always the case. You want to try and save the things which work. So yeah, kind of.
I agree, and I'm telling you something. I am a dismantler. And I don't say that lightly, because I understand how much restructuring would have to be done and what the second order impacts would be. But I think America's cooked. I really do. There's so much optimism, particularly amongst the right, that Donald Trump is going to save the United States. And I gotta say, man, like I think he's a huge part of what destroyed the last little bit of the United States. His first term was such a catastrophic failure on all fronts that I'm thinking that this is going to be the fatal dose. Like, I think people are coming in with this irrational exuberance, and boy, some negative stuff is on the horizon. Particularly, you're a financial dude. We're insolvent. Yes. We are beyond insolvent, and there's no indications right now that anybody is taking this seriously. I know Doge, that's a whole meme, and there's no power to it. I mean, maybe they'll bring some awareness to it, but they can't pass any, spending cuts. And there's been no indication from Trump or the Republican leaderships they want spending cuts. Matter of fact, they're linking. I saw this morning. It just blew my mind. The Speaker Johnson, I'm not sure if you know who that is, Speaker of the House. He is trying to link payments for LA fire victims, right? So there's going to be some federal aid that's going to go to them. He's linking that with a demand that the Democrats raise the debt limit. I'm just like, what kind of upside down world are we in? It is, So anyway, that's just the latest signal. And by the way, I'm going to tell a lot of people I told you so in not too long. But I think that we're going to see the same thing: massive spending. It's going to go up, not down. We're going to see inflation pressures go through the roof. There's going to be a demand by Trump to lower interest rates, which is even further inflationary. And I think the U.S. dollar is in serious trouble.
Yes. Yeah, I can't say that I disagree. I would say that I hope you're not right.
Me too. I'll put that on record. I don't want bad things. I'm just like, I'm kind of
Well,
like these people. This is where I'm at, Klaus. Like, if you look at it in a health perspective, let's
yes.
say you and I are friends, and let's say you are 400 pounds and you've got type 2 diabetes, and I'm kind of being like, yo, Klaus, there's a problem here. I love you, buddy. But
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's where I'm at with America right now. I'm kind of like, I love you, but I got to be honest with you. There's real problems. Unless you change something, we're going to be dead.
Yes, and I think how should I put it? I think I was a little bit surprised with the first term. I kind of have had higher hopes to just to put it like that, and I was wondering about some of the stuff. And I'm not gonna, I'm not. There's no sense in bashing, getting into some Trump bashing or whatever. That's not uninteresting. But I think I look forward to things getting started up soon. So January 20th and things getting started up and I think pretty quickly we're going to see what direction it's going to go in. And yeah, I really do hope for the best. And I kind of, the last you said with the interest rates, that's I think he's going to try and put some pressure on that, and that is definitely going to be inflationary. There's just, how can it not? If you increase the money supply, it is just.
And that's the thing that bothers me a lot about Americans, is that as a whole, we are so economically illiterate. People here like look at inflation and they say, well, that's a CPI, that's increases in prices. I'm like, actually, that's a consequence of inflation. Inflation, by definition, is an expansion in the money supply.
Yes.
And under Trump's first term, we tripled the M2 money. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with M1, M2. There's different metrics. Yeah. So the M2 money supply tripled in his first term, and it's like, you cannot have that much money printing and then not have any sort of consequences to it. And what frustrates me is when I look at a lot of the pro-Trump people, is they blamed it on Biden. And it's like, well, hold on a second. It's like he increased the money supply. There's a time that passes, and then all of a sudden prices start going up because you've inflated the money supply. And now, because of that, they didn't understand the cause. They just noticed, oh, shit's getting very expensive. This guy is leading right now. It's his fault. And I'm not. This is not it's supposed to excuse Biden. He's a horrible person and was a terrible president. I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm not on a team.
That's beside the point. Yeah.
But completely beside the point. I'm just trying to say cause and effect and understanding what is actually at play. I think Americans miss the boat because they just don't understand basic economics, and they're very easily swayed by politicians that make their little pitch, and they sort of like, it's the Finnish ditch analogy. I think America is perpetually we're in the left ditch, and then we go directly to the right, and there's no sanity or any sort of.
I'm not sure the left and the right ditch in the U.S. are two different ditches, but
well, that's a whole other topic. Yeah, I agree with you. Same ditch.
And or elsewhere, and I think that's. But still, anyway, back to my what I find so incredibly compelling about what to me is the American attitude is the willingness to believe in the future. Uncritical willingness to believe in the future, and that is valuable. As unrealistic as it may be in some situations, it's valuable because you kind of avoid depression states where everybody just gives up. That will be avoided by that. But of course, increasing money supply, driving up inflation, driving up debt is just, who's going to come and collect the debt, and how? That's the other question. I mean, as long as the U.S. has a military which is effective and 10 times bigger than anything else, who's going to come and do anything? Nobody. Which is why the U.S. military is so important.
There's that meme where it's like, the United States dollar isn't backed by anything. It's like, it kind of is.
It kind of is, yeah. It kind of is, and I think that's I'm not I'm in uninterested in moral judgments around those things, I think that's probably a good thing, at least in the short term. Because otherwise, what kind of instability are we even looking at if that wasn't the case?
Yeah, and that's what I'm worried about because I think you know a fair bit about finance. Inflation is by definition defaulting on your debt. You're basically paying back your debt that you took out with dollars that are nominally worth less.
Yes.
Or sorry, not nominally. Real dollar, the real purchasing power of those dollars has been diluted. So you're basically cheating. It's a soft default, and the U.S. has been doing this forever. And eventually, they'll get a point where no one's going to buy our bonds. Like it's not going to be attractive, and then the dollar will be forced to default and restructure. And that is from a global economic standpoint, like that is a nuclear bomb. Like that is what I'm concerned about. Yeah,
that's not good. I mean, Greece had to do this. And but Greece is a very small country economically in comparison to the U.S. So Greece could do it, and basically Greece, the Greek the overspending of the Greek people for many decades was just paid for by the other EU taxpayers, which is. We can have a moral discussion about that or not. It's at the end of the day, it's rather uninteresting. But that's what happened.
Well, the U.S. does the same thing. People don't realize that is that essentially because the United States dollar is the world's reserve currency and because of agreements with OPEC that they will only settle sales of oil in U.S. dollars, we get to export our inflation. We get to print dollars and push them out to the demand exists because other countries need oil. And so we've had an unfair advantage in the United States. I don't think many people realize that.
Yeah, probably not. And I think on the other hand, that's kind of one of my, I don't spend a lot of time. Normally, I don't spend a lot of time talking about politics or anything because there's nothing I can do. So I just focus on eating my egg, and what's the stuff that I can actually affect, which is not very much, but at least something. And I think for many people. Of course, effectively, that's what their life is like. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? I think the back in 20, the situation we had there was a good example of what are people going to do, even if things happen which they can see are completely ridiculous, and based on nothing, they're just going to do what they're told, because what else can they do? So I think. Well,
hold on. Here's why I talk about it, Claus, because I agree to a certain point, and I have this sort of saying: it's like control the controllables, right? Like focus on what your locus of control. But I think people get a little bit nihilistic and like, oh, I really can't control much, but you can actually control a lot more than you think. I think people haven't invested in the time and maybe some education to get themselves in a more prepared state. And by the way, I'm not a prepper. I'm not going to be on some crazy Discovery Channel show. You're not going to see me with bunker and food storage. But like, there's things that you can do. And I just had somebody on my show who is an agorist. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the concept, but this is self-sufficiency. She's a farmer, so she raises her own meat and she raises her own vegetable, grows all this stuff, and has a network of people. And she engages in gray market and black market trading and deals in cryptocurrency. Like, there's ways that you can sort of extract yourself from the system a little bit and insulate yourself. I think we know our friend Marco from Independence Arc Farm. Like, make friends with your rancher. Build connections. I think there's a lot of things that people can do, and if they invested, let's say 50% of the time they spend arguing about stupid bullshit political fights, which are really nothing but tribalism, which team am I on, and focused on how can I protect myself and my family, because inflation's a real thing. It impacts everybody. Cool, can't control that, but you can diversify into other things. You can get into precious metals, you can get into crypto. Like, there's certain things that you can do to protect yourself. Maybe spend less money yourself, reduce your expenses, pay off your house, get out of debt. Like, there's things that you absolutely can do, and I think this is where the focus should be. And when I speak about these things, I don't want it to be a tribalistic. I don't want to, just back and forth about which team. It's like I'm solutions oriented, and I feel like if people just had a little bit of education on the things that are actually important, that they actually could control, other than the distraction circus sideshow bullshit, we
Yes,
would be in a much better place. It's almost like
of course.
health for your family, your
Yes, yes.
financial
Yeah, I was just going to say
stability
that.
is the same as like, your personal health,
Yeah,
right?
I was just going to. There is actually no difference in principle, is there? That you know, there are a million possibilities for you to consume unhealthy food and drink. You choose not to do it. You feel better. You get healthier, and you live longer. Your quality of life goes up. It's no different for other consumption. It's zero difference, and I think, of course, with probably with some of the other items that we like to consume, there's maybe a bigger element of status and other social things connected to it. But I think the more you can detach yourself from status-driven consumption, the better you will, the healthier you will be economically, financially, and mentally as well. And consume less of everything. Media as well.
Yeah, could not agree more. And so I wanted to talk to you about something around X's algorithm, because we see Elon wanting to talk about the big driver for him is unregretted user minutes on platform, right? And so I'd like to get your take on the changes that you've seen with X recently. You happy with them? You unhappy with them? Mixed bag? What's the deal?
Yeah, good. That's a good question. I think on balance, I'm just I have the same feeling as I have with Trump going in. Let's see what happens. Is this for real? What's going to happen? Maybe too early to tell. I mean, for me, my engagement is what I get in terms of engagement is very low compared to a year ago. So it's about 1/100th of the engagement I got before. So and as a consequence, of course, it's kind of a self reinforcing thing as well. So I've become a little bit more lazy I'm not really putting that much time into it either, as a consequence, which then of course probably leads to somewhat less engagement, etc. But
what do you think's driving that? I'm nobody. I've got no engagement. I've got like not even 1,000 followers yet, and I'm not even close to being monetized. So I don't even look at my engagement metrics.
Yeah, it was funny. I was like a week from being monetized, and then suddenly it dropped to 1/10. Just like that, off a cliff, and it stayed there. And I think it's honestly, I think it's a combination of the algorithm probably prioritizing certain types of content, and probably the content I made was probably up prioritized back in 23, and now it's maybe even it might be down prioritized, but it might just be not prioritized. And in combination with me being a little bit less active and maybe, to be honest, the content may not be, as entertaining or as engaging or whatever. So, and anyway, back to our previous discussion. What is it I can do? The only thing I can do, if I really want to do something about it, I just need to get more creative, and I just need to put some more time into it. But let's see. I'm not quite there yet. Feels frustrated. I feel a bit frustrated, and I'll stick around, and then I'll find my second wind, and let's hope we can drive it with Hero and Low Carb Logic and the other things.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, man. I'm frustrated because his platform sucks so bad for long form video content, and that's what I do. It's like he wants you to publish the full long form videos on your account, which is fine. Like I fucking do it, but everybody wants to watch it on YouTube because it's a much better experience. And so, but if you link out to YouTube, you get deboosted, you get all your engagement ran to the ground. So, like, what the hell are you supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly, and that's I tried for several months not to link anything, not to post any YouTube links and nothing like that, even though it's very useful to help some people. But I've come back to I've come back to just doing what feels natural to me, and so I will post links to YouTube all the stuff that we do post it. We do upload the videos that we do, the podcast, etc. We do upload them directly in long form to X, not via YouTube. But you know, my engagement is almost nothing anyway. So my feeling is, well, since I have nothing to lose, why the hell make compromises and make life difficult for everyone? So I'll just try and help people the best I can, and just on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. And that's really where I've been focused too. I've been focusing generally on input metrics, making the best content I can possibly make, trying to make the production value as best I can, the most engaging conversations I can, push it out there and just trust that, somebody's going to see it at some point. Because I get it. It's a ton of effort. To do this type of stuff and to see nothing and I walked in knowing that like there's going to be no engagement for like 4 years and maybe somebody will start watching it at some point, but it's a thing where I think there's people do unnatural things to try to get around the algorithm. They're constantly changing, doing this tap dance, and I think that's a nowhere road, because you're sort of like it's not you, it's not genuine, you're dancing for the algorithm.
Yeah, we have a number of people in and around the carnivore community who are just engagement farming. They're just posting bullshit. Sorry, I don't know if you can say
you can say fucking bullshit if you want to. It's fine.
Yeah, so they're just posting bullshit, regurgitating self-evident stuff. And surprisingly, they some people find it charming, which is fine, but really low effort, low quality content, which actually seems to be also favored by the algorithm, and that's it feels in a negative moment, it feels slightly insulting. And
it feels like a slap in the face when you're putting all this effort into creating valuable content that you were intentional and thoughtful about, and then somebody posts a picture of a piece of meat and say, "Well, what are you adding to this?" And it's like, fucking stop it.
I did the experiment when some weeks back in, I think, the beginning of December. I just thought let's try. So I posted a photo of my butter dish, open butter dish, with the question, "Do you use butter?" I think it was something like that. Yeah, I think it got 20,000 views. Loads of likes. Yeah, just ridiculous. And so anyway, so I had a good laugh. But
well, the claim is that he's going after that type of content right now. Like the algorithm is going to start down. I haven't seen it yet though, because I'm still seeing all of that engagement farming and rage farming. Like that's all in my timeline still.
But I think Brent, I think it's when I thought about it a little bit, I think it's back to being genuine, and it's back to being honest, genuine, and telling the truth. By the truth, I don't mean, well, I kind of mean that you try to be factual and try to be stringent, etc. But be honest. So you're allowed to make mistakes too, and I think. I think with a lot of accounts, they are, first of all, anonymous. You don't know who is this person. Is it a person? Why are they hiding, etc. Are they just posting pictures of pieces of meat and eggs? And do they even do this stuff? Are they just trying to jump on a bandwagon and build some kind of a drop shipping system, or what's going on? And I think for me, the reason I'm active is because I want to help people. I want to help myself, and I want to help people. And the way I help myself is what we talked about at the beginning, what you mentioned, the kind of the accountability elements of it, that because I have a decent following, I'm kind of at least I'm obliged to do what I say and stick with it, and be low carb, be carnivore, whatever, and that's good for me. And then the longer I do this, the more times I go over the subject matter, and the better I can point people to other people who have the knowledge, who generate the knowledge, and the better I have a basic idea of, okay, what could you do and what should you do, and things like that. So I get more effective at helping people, but the absolute requirement is I need to be honest. I need to be open, and who can touch me? Yeah, the algo can touch me, but nobody can touch me in my substance, because I am who I am, and I'm doing what I'm doing for the reasons I'm saying, and I think that's why I kind of thought, okay, I'm definitely going to post some YouTube links and some other things. So I'm here to help people, and and so what if that costs something then?
Yeah, and I think that there's something to that. I think you might not get as fast of growth, but I think long term you'll get durable growth, right? So you'll get a loyal following of people who know you're distributing good information, and it's probably going to be a logarithmic curve. It's going to be a nice small slope, and it's just going to hockey stick up at some point. I think that's what you see with folks. They just sort of take off their quote unquote overnight successes after putting in 4 years of steady effort, right? Because I was actually watching Andrew Huberman. Have you seen the way he posts his videos?
Well,
on X, I mean, particularly.
No. Because I listen to everything on Spotify.
Yeah, but I look at his posts, and he gets obviously just millions and millions of views on his stuff. And so if you look at it, I'm actually looking at maybe experimenting with that format. So he posts the full video to X, right? So he posts it with links out to timestamps and a description of the section of the video that he's covering. So you can just click on it and go directly to it in X, which is kind of a cool feature I didn't even realize existed. And then after that first post, then he follows up. This episode is also on other platforms and links directly out to Spotify and YouTube and all these other things. And he doesn't seem to be deboosted for that. And so I don't know if it's just a function of him just being this massive account that everybody knows and they treat him differently. But at least I'm going to run the experiment. I'm like, hey, if I can put that effort like he's doing and just copy that a little bit, it's a good experiment to run to see if it's moving the needle at all.
For sure, yeah, absolutely, and I totally agree. And it's not for you, since you're doing the podcast anyway, you've got the material anyway, so it's not like it's a massive, huge extra effort to do it that way. And I think that's a good point. And I don't know, with Low Carb Logic, what we do when we post a video, we just upload the full video, and then we put the timestamps in the comments, and then I don't think we normally even link it anywhere, but maybe we should do that. We upload it on YouTube and Spotify. We are not on other platforms at the moment, but
cool.
Yeah.
Well, enough of that, man. I don't want to get down the social media rabbit hole too far, but it's an interesting discussion. I wanted to talk to you about seed oils, man. This seems like a super controversial subject, and there's so much differing opinion on it. And anytime there's a hysteria around a topic, my skeptic filters go up. And you know me, like I don't consume seed oils. I'm not a fan of them. I think there's enough, I've seen enough to where I'm sufficiently convinced that my life would be better without them, right? But Are they actually the boogeyman that RFK and everybody else that currently there is? It feels to me almost like a moral panic. I've seen this in many areas of my life, and anytime there's just this mass hysteria about anything, I always kind of like, whoa, I kind of put my skeptic hat on, and I wonder, what the truth is. So what's your take on this, man? You spend a lot of time thinking about this.
Yeah, well, at a certain point, I did. I haven't knowingly consumed any seed oils since 2019, maybe even 2018. I cut them out even a little bit earlier, but certainly I've been very conscious about it since I started keto back in 2019, and so I've had a lot of very large scale blood tests done, and et cetera, and I have absolutely excellent values in everything especially cardiovascular markers.
What are you measuring? Just real quick, because I'm a nerd and I want to know what you're measuring.
Yeah, so I'm measuring, and I think I'll put up the battery, because I'm probably going to forget something, because I had my last test done in August, and I kind of have 30 different tests done, but I have my basis. I kind of have I would say maybe a Gary Brecker-esque type of approach to it. So I had a DNA test done back in 21 to identify, where are the weak points or the risk points. And so I have some.
So real quick, sorry. Are you talking about like single nucleotide polymorphism, certain ones that are associated with various things, or what? Because the DNA test, I'm not sure what they'd be checking exactly, other than SNPs.
Yeah, good question. But what the results that come out of it are things like that I have an MTHFR gene mutation, which means that I need to get B9 and B12. I need to get in methylated form, otherwise I can't absorb it. And if I don't get those, my risk of heart attack increases because my homocysteine levels go through the roof. And then there's another gene. I have one of 4 possible genes related to hemochromatosis, which is an iron management genetic disease, and for this reason, I take some other supplements and I do blood donations, etc. So this is the type of the kind of level. So it tells me that I've MTHFR 677T, I think it's called. There are two different ones. So that's the level it tells me what's up.
Got it.
And so based on that, I then take the blood tests. Other than the typical blood test is a lipid panel and some
like a metabolic panel too.
Yeah. So then I take a metabolic. I take a load of test vitamins and minerals, and then the specific ones, which are then the ferritins, the CRPs, and other inflammation markers, the homocysteine, etc., etc. So I think it was about 30 or 35 different markers that I got tested.
Got it. So real quick.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, I noticed that you said that your kidney function improved 20%. I'm assuming that's a second order effect of getting the type 2 diabetes under control. Is that right?
Probably. Yeah, probably, because it was that already happened before I went full carnivore. So it's not. I don't think it's carnivore related, and it's kind of stayed the same. So
got it. Because I know that some people that are in the carnivore community get back tests. If they go to a standard doctor that doesn't understand carnivore, they'll get back, like EGFR will decrease, and there'll be other kidney markers that are out of the norm, which I don't think is dangerous at all. I've seen Sean Baker do a complete deep dive on this stuff, and so I was interested to see, like, oh, your kidney function improved, but sometimes your doctor will be like, hey, you have impaired kidney function because of Yeah. So
the one the value I'm specifically referring to with the 20% is the EGFR. So just to be very clear, that's what. There are others as well, but I don't have a kidney impairment. Although I did have kidney surgery when I was a kid, but so I have one kidney with back then with 50% function, but seems not to be an issue anymore. And the very increased, I eat a shit ton of protein, so I basically eat normal, except egg week. So between 200 and 300 grams net protein per day, and I weigh about 150 pounds, so 155.
Wow,
depending.
Yeah, that's a lot of protein for that body weight. Wow.
Yeah, and it doesn't have a negative effect on my kidney function or anything else. So
cool. So does your doctor in Finland, do they behave similarly to the United States doctors? Because we've got this medical system that you've seen all the arguments, like pushing statins on people and being hyper worried about cholesterol and some of these other things, and being anti-meat, and we get a ton of that from our doctors here. Do you get the same issue over there?
Yes, there is zero difference. It's 1-to-1, exactly the same. Yep.
Wow. And so, what do you do? Do you find can you find a doctor that is more open to these ideas, or do you just have to be like, I'm going to pay for this extra blood work and kind of hack it myself? Like, what's your approach?
I'm just hacking it myself at this point. Last time I went to a doctor was when I was still living permanently in Germany. And my German doctor is she's a Russian lady, so she has a completely different attitude. And in fact, as many German doctors, family physicians do, they have a much more, let's say, homeopathic type of inclination. So I think in Germany, it's pretty easy to find a doctor who's going to play ball and who's going to be in the know. Finland is an extremely conformist place, extremely centrally controlled, and there is for some reason there's for cultural reasons seems to be a kind of a tendency to want to please a master, and the master in this case is EU regulation, which is then driven by whatever it's driven by, lobbying and other interests.
Yeah, gross stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you end up in Finland? I've always been curious. Like, what made you choose Finland?
My mother is Finnish, so I have a family, let's say, deep family connection to Finland. Although I'm Danish by nationality, and I grew up in Denmark, went to school, university, etc. But I've worked for some Finnish companies. I worked for some British companies and some Danish companies, and so I've been living in different countries, working mainly as an expat, but also as just a foreigner working for a foreign company without being an expat. So I kind of came back to Finland already back in 2010. So I've been working in Finland since 2010 in this phase. So
God, I always wondered, man. I've meant to ask and never have. So I'm glad I got the story. So do you have a sauna in your house? I got to ask.
Yes, of course.
The reason I ask is the Finland sauna studies. It seems like it's pretty ubiquitous. Like there's a sauna in pretty much every house, and that's pretty awesome. Have you looked at that data at all?
Yes, I have, and I think I'm kind of because I grew up in Denmark. I'm not a Finnish sauna goer, so I used to be more of a sauna goer in the summertime because that's when I came on vacation to Finland. But these days I go to the sauna almost every day, and but I'm not doing it in this American scientific way, by which I mean staying in the sauna for 20, 30 minutes. Come hell or high water, and looking closely at temperatures. In Finland, a sauna is about 190 degrees F, so about 90 degrees C is the normal temperature, and the normal way of going to the sauna is you stay in there until you don't want to stay in there. So when you're no longer comfortable, you go out. And whether that's 5 minutes or 15 or 20 minutes, normally it's less than 15 or 20 minutes, at least for me. So that's how I do it. And I think for maximizing health benefits, it seems like you should do it probably at this temperature. The temperature is a good one. But maybe there would be more benefit if you actually do the 15, 20 minutes. But yeah, it's not in the culture here to stay in the sauna if you're not feeling good, unless you're drunk.
Got it. I've heard people drink in the sauna too. Is that just a Russian thing, or they do that in Finland too?
Yeah, we've done some of that too.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't do that anymore, but yeah, we had lots of parties with lots of drinking outside and inside the sauna, and jumping, having a hole in the ice in the lake, jumping in that in wintertime and stuff like that. So yeah,
I always
everything.
wanted to do that, man. That looks really fun and also really painful too.
Yeah, think of Finland as some like northern Alberta or something, Alaska.
Well, interesting because I never put the two and two together. But now I think about it, when I travel, like to Germany or to the Netherlands or something, there will oftentimes be like a steam room, and there will be like they'll call it the sauna, and they'll call the Finnish sauna. And the Finnish sauna, but there was like 200 degrees plus, like it was insanely hot. I didn't think y'all's sauna was that hot.
Yeah, I think there was a tradition back in the old days. There was a tradition for, especially when you had corporate clients, corporate customers coming, you take it up to 220. And by the way, the only people who can do a serious sauna fighting and water throwing fighting are the Japanese, because they're used to their hot springs. So
Oh,
they're
yeah,
kind of
onsen, yeah.
yeah, they're acclimatized to that sort of thing. Most of the others, they get out of there faster. But no, but I think the about 190 F or 90 degrees C is kind of the, if we're not kidding and if we're not being stupid teenagers, that's about the normal one. Of course, when you have a wood-fired sauna, if you put a lot of wood in it and you fire it up, it's not a steady 190. It starts higher and then it fluctuates. But anyway,
Right. Cool. Enough of the sauna thing, man. I'm a sauna nerd. I love it. I love the science around it, and so Finland always seems to be like the epicenter of most of that research. So I wanted to finish up. We have not a ton of time left, but I wanted to talk to you about the carnivore community and its evolution into, I don't know, maybe something that's not exactly carnivore. Like, where do you stand on that, man?
Yeah, I think if you no, let me back up. There is a therapeutic reason to do a carnivore diet, either shorter or longer term, or maybe even forever, depending on who you are. If you want the benefits, and there are many benefits, especially if you are in physically in bad shape. There are many benefits. Go on my page, go in the carnivore community, and you can find the benefits, list of benefits of doing a carnivore diet. But if you want to do it, you have to do it. You can't. Carnivore is not having a lot of honey after you eat your steak. It's not having carbohydrates of any kinds. Actually, it's a plant-free diet. And I think they used to call it, back in the day before my time, they used to call it the zero carb diet. That's what they used to call it. And then there are various interpretations. Do you eat liver? Do you not eat liver? All of that, I think, is not so important. I think you can, if you want, you can eat a little bit of liver. Be aware of the vitamin A content. Maybe you don't want to eat huge amounts of liver every day, but it is not a carbohydrate and plant including diet. And I think one of the issues when you have a community which is growing very fast, like the carnivore community, there are all kinds of honest questions. People are thinking that carnivore, if I eat mainly meat and then I just eat potatoes 3 times a week, that's almost carnivore, whatever. And I think there are a lot of those questions. And I think the more it's opened and the more it goes mainstream, the more it's obviously going to kind of be diluted. That doesn't change what carnivore is. And then you can call your diet whatever you want. But if you want the therapeutic benefits, cut out all plants, and then you pretty much have carnivore. And if you want to be orthodox, radical, only eat beef and only eat muscle meat, no liver, no anything. And you, by the way, you're likely to be fine. Get your blood test done. Get tested, see if you're deficient in something, and then maybe supplement or add a little bit of liver or whatever. And if you don't want to do that, there is nobody who is going to tell you that you're a bad person if you eat some cabbage or if you have.
Well, I wouldn't say
sauerkraut.
there's nobody. I've been online,
Yeah,
man.
I mean myself. but you can, it's not to my mind, being carnivore is purely a health thing. It is not an ideological thing, and there is no there shouldn't be any carnivore police coming after you if you want to get therapy, and if you get therapeutic or health benefits from having a diet which includes some plants as well. I mean, we are not all the same person, so something that works very, very well for one person maybe doesn't work as well for somebody else. And I think there are a few people that I know. One of my friends in down under, Mike on Iron on X, he notably is doing better when he adds some plant material to his meals. He feels more satisfied. He has better satiety and is less prone to overeating, and consequently he can be slimmer and healthier if he adds some plants. But obviously he's not carnivore. And so what?
Yeah, I think it's really important. And the reason I'm talking about this is because it's World Carnivore Month. We're sitting here in January, and there's a lot of people who are new to it, that have heard about it, want to try it out. And I want to be real careful with the community, because I see a lot of this tribalism, and we've talked about this in the past, where like you post your meal and somebody points out some stupid bullshit. Well, this isn't exactly right. And they end at this weird... you come across like dicks, right? And I think that it's like, it's fine to be like, okay, this is the definition of what carnivore is, and maybe there's a debate about what is it, organ meats, is it not? Like those minutia debates should be kept within the people that are in that community that subscribe to, like, this is what's best for me. And I think there should be an aspect of welcomeness to people that are trying stuff out, and the ability to be like, if they're like, hey, I tried it for 2 months, and actually, if I add kimchi or sauerkraut to my diet, I actually feel a lot better, or this works for me, to have the zealots just shut the fuck up and just be like, okay, then you're not carnivore, and that's okay. That works for you.
Exactly.
I'm glad that you moved from a standard American diet where you're eating this bullshit to a much more healthy, whole foods based diet. Good for you. Congratulations. Keep it up. Like, that should be the message, not sniping at people.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, including myself, it can help you understand how your body functions and what agrees with you in terms of foods, to do a period of very kind of strict carnivore where you actually don't eat any plants, just eat meat and eggs, and do it for a month, 2, 3, whatever, but do it for at least a month, and you kind of get a set point or a reset. For you to understand, when you add back, let's say you add back some cabbage, or you add back potatoes, or you add whatever, then you get an immediate feedback of whether that agrees with you or not, and for that it's super useful as well. And I think for me, I had IBS as well. For 40 years I had to always know where the nearest toilet is, and bathroom, sorry, and that's actually the biggest practical improvement in my life, was getting rid of 40 years of constant diarrhea by cutting out all plant foods. So I went keto, but pretty much almost carnivore. So it was keto with just very few, just some sauerkraut and a little bit of other stuff. And that kind of healed my gut. And I can eat bread, I can eat potatoes, I can eat all kinds of stuff, even crap probably with seed oils in it, and I'm not going to get diarrhea. I'm not going to get sick. I'm not going to feel odd, at least if I only do it once. So I think there is you can kind of heal yourself, and then you can add back some stuff and be fine.
Yeah, I think the important point is everybody's different. Like, everybody's biology is so incredibly different. We all just need to find what works for us. So that's a great place to leave, man. I have a day job that I need to get to at some point, so I got to call an end to this. But dude, thank you so much for stopping by, and apologies for the technical difficulties. Tell everybody where they can find you online, man.
Yeah, you can find me best on X at Claus Carlsen 1. on X, and then we have our account, Low Carb Logic account, which is called @HealingFaster, and that's where you can find us. And we have a Low Carb Logic YouTube channel and Spotify channel as well, where we post our podcasts with nutrition-related, health-related stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah, recommend to everybody go check them out. This has been a huge help to me, and I really thank you for all your contributions, man. It's been a help. You've been a great person in my life, just peripherally on Twitter as we keep engaging with each other. And nothing but the best for you, man, going forward.
Thanks, Brent. You too, and see you soon.
Yep. See you, bud.